What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Nation. How are you doing on this lovely Monday afternoon? I am here trying out some new equipment, and as you can tell, the green screen is gone. That's right. I've put away the green screen for this Christmas time, redecorated the shelves, the background here a little bit thanks to the fine folks at Home who I got some great stuff from. And I am back today live on The Nation. I've also got a new setup here in terms of audio. I'm using a Wave XLR system, which apparently is adjusting volume on its own. I'll have to figure out how to stop it from doing that. And I've also got a new Stream Deck Plus that I haven't hooked up yet. But thanks to Black Friday, I've acquired some new stuff. How do I sound? Do I sound good? Do I sound okay? You know, I'm very, very paranoid about sound. It's an important thing for me. I've adjusted my camera. I've got a new camera thing coming that's going to allow me to move the camera into different places. I was watching some people's reactions to CM Punk's return on Twitch, and I noticed people like to have a camera like up here at an angle. So I'm thinking about getting something that's going to allow me to move the camera into different locations depending on what I'm doing and what I'm going for. So I'm very excited to be making some changes as we come to the tail end of 2023, glimpsing what we've got coming for us here in 2024 on the Outlaw Nation. This is a big show today. So much to talk about, including the return of my boy, CM Punk. That's right. He is back here in the WWE. What a massive thing that happened last night. We're absolutely going to be covering that and talking about it. Just a shot from what we got here. Look at the look on us with a shock, the feeling of joy and happiness. You don't know what you're going to expect when you drive 20 minutes down the road from your house to walk out into a venue. I know this feeling somewhat for when I came out during the Schmodown Spectacular after I had been diagnosed with bronchitis and I could barely walk or leave my bed for 2 or 3 days to come out and see the reaction. You're not sure how people are going to react. You're not sure what they're going to say. And to have them react so positively towards you was an incredible experience. So I had a small sample of what CM Punk must have been feeling. And what an explosion. What a sound that came out of people's bodies in that Survivor Series last night. We're definitely going to talk about it, break it down, and get into all the particulars and get into all the drama that these wrestling pundits and wrestling fans who are crying into their cry towels today are going nuts about on Twitter for sure. We're also going to get into some Marvel stuff. There's a lot of Marvel stuff happening, a lot of Marvel news dropping, some new information here. Michael Waldron being announced as the writer of the next, or it being Justin Kroll announcing rather on a deadline that Michael Waldron will be writing the 2 Avengers movies, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Some of thoughts on these rumors about Cillian Murphy as Dr. Doom, Taika Waititi, and his recent comments about the Thor franchise and his experience on Thor Ragnarok. Also going to get into some more stuff going on in the world of Marvel as well that you may not know about. Also going to give you some reviews for Napoleon, for Wish, for the Squid Game reality series. I watched the first 5 episodes with the Lady Outlaw. I'm about halfway through Reacher season 2. I don't know what I can say about that. I think I'm still under embargo with that, but I might give you a nonverbal review of that as well. Colin from Accounts, I'll give you a little bit of my thoughts on that as well. I'm about to jump into tomorrow. I got to watch Candy Cane Lane. That's the new Eddie Murphy movie. I've got to watch Naiad. I've got to finish watching Rustin. And I've got Monarch to jump into as well. I've got to catch up on Monarch. And at some point, I got to convince Michael Vogel this week to do a mid-season review of the new season of Invincible. So certainly going to be hopefully lining that up here for everybody to enjoy on the show, on the channel rather. And the other thing that I got going on here, let me bring it up, is that I've got a new segment here on the show, and it is called Rocha's Rumors. That's right, Rocha's Rumors. I know that's a pretty janky graphic there. If anybody loves to make graphics. Maybe you can come up with a better graphic for Rocha's rumors. I'd like it to be a motion graphic or a video of some kind, but it's the best I could do at short notice. But I've had a couple of people come out of the woodwork over the last few months, and you guys have heard me sometimes drop those rumors during the hot mic. And I kind of want to establish it as my own. Jeff scoops, and I'm in no way trying to compete with any of those guys, Justin Kroll, Jeff Snyder, and Boris Kitt, and all of them. Daniel Richtman, I am in nowhere in the same league with those guys. But, people send me stuff, and I've had a few people send me stuff that came out and was true a few months later, a few weeks later sometimes. So I'm just going to drop some stuff, and I'll give you warnings on some of the stuff, because some of the stuff might be spoiler stuff. I'll give you warnings. But I'm going to try to not break any kind of embargo on some of these rumors. But some stuff comes down. I hear it. Maybe you might be interested in it. Maybe it'll come true. Maybe it won't come true. But it'll be fun to talk about. That's why I call them rumors and not scoops. Rumors. They're very clearly rumors. Sometimes are true. Sometimes they're not true. You never know. In no way am I saying these are 100% true, but it's what I'm hearing from reliable sources. Certainly in my limited experience in vetting sources and having them pan out, so to speak. So a lot to get into here on the show today for sure. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Got 140 of you joining me already right off the bat live. Thanks so much. Please remember to hit a like on this video right off the bat. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. So much content coming here from the Outlaw Nation as we head into 2024. And what else am I supposed to be talking about here? Let me bring up, I've got a whole rundown here, and I downloaded it, but I forgot to bring it up here so I can follow along with my own rundown. You know why? Because the old man is getting old, and so some things he's got to make sure he's got on tap and he can look at. Here, CM Punk's return, the Marvel news, oh yeah, New Avengers movies. Oh yeah, and if there's time, we'll get into that Hall & Oates situation, right? For those of you who are big soft rock fans or big fans of Hall & Oates, what a surprise to be hearing about all this drama going on with Hall & Oates and all these issues going on with Hall & Oates. And we'll get into all of that as well. But again, a reminder that the Streamlabs and Superchats are open. If you want to send in some love here during the show, I would appreciate it. Hey, it's just past Black Friday. Christmas is coming. Help me develop a kitty here, or build a kitty up here, so I can get presents for everybody and send some love here while we're doing the show. I personally would appreciate it. You guys are the best, and you've given me nothing but love over the year. We're at 31,000 followers. Love, I was trying to get to 50 by the end of the year, but hey, this is the way the game goes. Sometimes you set yourself some goals, you set yourself some things you shoot for. It doesn't always come true, but we'll come as close as we can by the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do so. Empire Fan 1980 says, hey, John, nothing surprising happening this week. I don't know what you will talk about. Hell definitely didn't freeze over on Saturday. Yeah, excellent point there, Empire Fan 1980. Well, let's, and he also said, Empire Fan 1980 said, I'm going to be at Raw tonight live. When I bought my tickets, I was only going to see Mommy and buy a Mommy shirt, but now all that has changed. Yeah, for sure. Tonight live, it's no commercials tonight on Raw for the first hour. I know I'm going to be watching. I don't know if I can get the East Coast feed. We'll see what my YouTube TV situation here on my Apple TV can do here in the room. But if there is the first hour, I might go live again later on tonight to get people's reactions to CM Punk and what that'll be a quick live one, or maybe just do a pre-recorded video talking about my reactions to all of it. So interesting for sure. But what do you guys think of the setup? Do you like the setup? Do you like the Christmas stuff? Do you like how we're doing? I got a little a sled behind me with the Noel sign on it. I got my little Santa up here. Got my Merry Christmas sign. Got my Happy Holiday sign. So I don't, so nobody gets offended or anything. So just having some fun here. Didn't want to do too much, but just enough. I may add some lights or tinsel. But I've put away the green screen for a little while, probably for the month of December. And then we'll see where I go from that after that. Cause I've seen people complain about the green screen. I know for me, it's a nice end all be all situation, but I do like the cleanness of having bookcases that showcase what you watch or what you read rather, and what you're into. With my movies there, my Criterion movies, you see my Zatoichi, which I just got on the new Criterion sale. For you who don't know Zatoichi, it's the Blind Swordsman. It was one of the names of the or one of the references in Ahsoka in the series. There, we're talking about the training. I love Zatoichi, the Blind Samurai. It was half off. I had to get the collection, and then of course I have La Bamba next to that, and then my Senjuro and Yojimbo double Criterion, and then all my Criterion are behind. Well, some of my Criterion are behind there. My 4K ones are down here. I've got some new additions to my 4K. I suppose I should promote that now. I'm going to put a picture up as well, but big shout out to let me bring it up here. Big shout out. Let me read it correctly so I don't mess this up. This is a fantastic package they sent me here. It's a digital screener is going to be sent to me separately, but this is from Universal Pictures. Big shout out to them for sending me the 4K of Oppenheimer. Thank you so much. One of the best movies of the century. I absolutely agree with Richard Roper there at the Chicago Sun-Times. Manola Dargis, who I love and respect, said it was staggering. And Tom Gliato at People, I don't really know Tom. He said a colossal cinematic epic. It absolutely is. I can't wait to watch it again on my big screen TV out there in the living room. I can't wait to watch it. And I also got the screenplay. They sent me the screenplay for Oppenheimer, which is super cool. So I will definitely be diving in to that, having some fun. Maybe I'll do some performances with Shannon McClung. Maybe Shannon and I will do special scenes from the Oppenheimer screenplay. I think that would be a lot of fun for all of you who enjoy us on the Geek Buddies. So that could be a lot of fun as well. All right, a little Diet Coke to get me going here tonight's here. All right, let me see. Let me put this up in the where do I have it? Here we go. Here, let me put this up in the chat. Let me pin it in the chat for people who want to send in Streamlabs as we go along before we dive into everything that we're going to dive into here tonight. We got 170 of you joining us live, or 160 of you joining us live, rather. Thanks so much for joining me here live. I appreciate it. As I said, please make sure you hit a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give it some love. And let me see if I can get these. God, these emojis are so frustrating sometimes when you're putting things in the chat. They won't go away. There we go. Pin message. There we go. All right. Good to go. Good to go. Good to go. All right. Let's get into the first thing, and that has to be CM Punk. Let's do it. CM Punk. Somebody cue Cult of Personality from In Living Color. It happened. It happened, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years in the making. 10 years in the making. And it finally happened. CM Punk is officially back in the WWE. Let's take a look at some of these pictures here from him coming back, coming out. Look at the reception he's getting, sitting down, having some fun there. Clearly, I showed that picture already with him being super surprised about the reaction. And then also this shot, seeing the fans reacting to it all, him sitting there and just taking it in, the real look of, just taking the anger in and taking in the look of wanting to be there, and the joy and happiness with the back and forth he had with Randy Orton there in the walkway. And then Triple H, who so many people know was an issue for CM Punk. Triple H himself tweeted out a picture of him with CM Punk, and he said, "Hell has frozen over." So I think, first of all, look at this picture. It's such a perfect picture. Punk with the whole kind of like, "Hey, look at me." And Triple H was like, "That's right. That's right." So just a perfect picture of the both of them. Really incredible stuff. And some numbers are already starting to come out here. The video of CM Punk coming back to Survivor Series had almost 1.7 million views in 8 hours. It's clearly way more than that. That was one of the most recent statistics here. The deal he has signed is for a multi-year deal. I've seen anywhere from 3 years to 5 years being rumored on the internet, because they described it as several years in length. His schedule is not really known. It's kind of unknown to see what that's all about here. There were rumors that they were going to try to delay his return until Royal Rumble, which a lot of people were speculating in the wrestling community in January in St. Petersburg, Florida, next year in 2024. But they didn't want to wait because they were afraid it was going to leak. So they ended up putting it out there. This is CM Punk's first appearance in WWE since January of 2014 at the Royal Rumble. Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful there, he was talking about the whole situation, revealing some details. CM Punk told at least one person close to him that he had an hour-long conversation with Triple H last week. WWE staff, reps, and creative had no idea this was happening. Walked through the back in plain sight minutes before he appeared, and they had cleared an area out for him. And Triple H took over calling the show in the last couple of minutes and called for the copyright logo to appear. Even many in production didn't know that CM Punk was going to appear. And you imagine, because they didn't want it to leak. People are going to leak. People are going to do what they got to do. They're going to take the money and reveal stuff to people who maybe want to spoil this ahead of time. You know what they're going to do. They're going to do that. And so not telling a lot of people, I think, was the best way to keep it under wraps. Triple H said in the post-show press conference that the deal had come together very quickly, approximately 10 days prior to Survivor Series. And the only two people involved in the negotiations were Triple H and WWE CEO Nick Khan. That's right. No Vince McMahon was involved in this at all. And for those of you who don't know, Nick Khan has no relation to Tony Khan. They are two completely different people from completely different families. But how funny, he goes from one Khan to another Khan, and is now back in the WWE. This is all Endeavor and Triple H. And this is a new company. All right. This is what I want to make really, really clear to people, because especially those people who've been like going crazy about this, jumping on the internet, screaming about it, because it cracks me up to see people who kiss Vince's ass, still kiss Hogan's ass, which I am still admittedly a fan of, kiss Flair's ass, hell, kiss Triple H's ass, but have a problem with CM Punk's morality or CM Punk's character. This is professional wrestling, okay? This is not application for the priesthood. This is not trying to be a local council member. This is professional wrestling. Its foundation is in Carney land. Carney foundations are the foundation of pro wrestling. And if you're looking for everybody to be morally correct, do all the right things, say all the right things, treat everybody with respect, you're in the wrong fucking business. It doesn't mean that you can't want that. Of course, feel free to want that, but also check your hypocrisy at the door. If you're the kind of person who's been cheering for a wrestler for a long time and you find out stuff about this wrestler's past, like we found out recently with Ric Flair and that Dark Side of the Ring situation on the plane, if you're still okay with Ric Flair, how are you judging CM Punk? If you're still okay with some of the stuff in the past and Hogan's past, some of the racist comments, how are you judging CM Punk? I mean, that's the thing. Just be aware of your own hypocrisy if you're going to get all upset and crazy and go nuts about CM Punk. He's just the kind of person who elicits a very strong response, either in support for him or in hatred for him. And that's certainly what comes across when you watch him, because when you watch that audio, you watch that video, you watch the reaction of Chicago. Look, the reaction was huge for Randy Orton coming back. It was massive because Randy Orton also came back on Saturday night, which was great to see. The 43-year-old still being able to do it. It looked like he hadn't missed a beat and did some wonderful moves in the segments that he was in the ring. I thought it was great. But the sound when CM Punk came back was something I haven't heard in forever. It is comparable to any explosion of emotion during the height of the Attitude Era when Stone Cold would come out. Like when Stone Cold came out to save The Rock against Vince McMahon and the corporation, that was a massive explosion. When Hulk Hogan came back to the WWE for the first time, it was a massive explosion. When Edge returned from injury and shocked the world at Royal Rumble, it was a massive explosion. So to me, I would put that reaction on the Richter scale, right? And I think this is incredible. And you may hate Punk for this, which is your God-given right if you want to hate Punk. But he understands how to ride the waves here, right? He got out of professional wrestling when he was done with it for his own mental health, his own physical sanity. He got out of professional wrestling, went and tried UFC or MMA fighting, completely demolished, was not good at it, but stayed away. Sensing that AEW was becoming a formidable challenge to the WWE, CM Punk opened or allowed the negotiations to be opened between him and Tony Khan, so Tony Khan could bring CM Punk back in Chicago at All In to bring him back and have or at the Rampage rather, to have the explosion of CM Punk coming back. And guess who reaped the benefits of that? Tony Khan and AEW. Okay, they reaped the benefits of bringing CM Punk back to pro wrestling. CM Punk, sensing that AEW has been fumbling storylines, has been pissing away some of these people that they brought over from the WWE. Of course, Toni Storm has found her niche and has been amazing. She is one of the few highlights recently for AEW. And RJ City as well, who I love. I think RJ City's every Sunday morning, that is appointment watching for me on YouTube, RJ City's interviews. But there hasn't been many highlights, in my opinion, for AEW over the last 2 to 3 years, right? And of course, CM Punk is a part of that. The fight he had at the All Out scrum afterwards, the fight with the Bucks and the Elite, and everything that was involved in all of that and all the drama certainly left a big stain on AEW's reputation, on everybody involved in it. But clearly, AEW knew CM Punk was a massive draw, so they give him Collision, his own show to himself, to launch, so to speak, separating out some of the talent that were involved in that situation, or some of the talent that aren't a fan of the Elite, because the Young Bucks have done nothing but fuck over FTR since they entered in AEW, because their arrogant asses can't possibly believe that they are not the greatest tag team in the world, and they were damned if they were going to lose to FTR, who is arguably the greatest tag team in the world. So they screwed them over, let FTR win the titles, remove themselves for a while, then had FTR lose the titles so they could get the titles back down the road. So fuck the Young Bucks and all that bullshit. Kenny Omega, I got nothing negative to say about Kenny. I think Kenny is one of the greatest wrestlers that ever walked the face of the planet. Always delivers, always tries to make any storyline work. So I got nothing negative to say about him. But the situation with CM Punk, so many people who already don't like Punk use that stuff to go after him. And that's what you got at the end of the day. Now, do I think he's not at fault? Of course not. It takes 2 to tango. In that case, it took like 7 to tango, including a dog. There was a lot going on behind the scenes with that stuff. But clearly the tension there had been building. Why? Because this is what happens when you've established yourself, like the Young Bucks and Omega, Hangman Page, Cody to a degree. They built the federation. The last thing they want to do is have someone come in from another federation who hasn't wrestled in a long time and have them tell them what to do, have that person tell them what to do. They wouldn't stand for it. So clearly it led to tension. CM Punk, coming from a much more successful company, having been a multi-time champion at that successful company, coming down, and yes, down to AEW to elevate AEW, or coming back from pro wrestling, but coming back to pro wrestling, but coming down from WWE to elevate AEW. He's got a different agenda. He's got a different purpose. And certainly they just did not get along, and it came to a head in that battle. And then you had Tony Khan fire CM Punk because of what happened there in London. And apparently Tony Khan feared for his life, and never mind that Vince McMahon has wrestled in street fights and wrestled his own wrestlers. He supposedly feared for his life. He brought in, or he dragged in, people who were on his staff as innocent civilians who were going to possibly lose their own lives to CM Punk. So he was very dramatic about it. And then they fired CM Punk, right? Which is, of course, his right to do as the owner of the company, who brought him in, signed him, recouped the benefit. Because if you look at the numbers, CM Punk, whenever he headlined a pay-per-view, hundreds of thousands of numbers versus what other people would do headlining pay-per-views. His merchandise sales were great. He was successful at what he was assigned to do and what he was allowed to do. Now, the product in the ring wasn't always that great. I don't care what anyone says. Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, he's got a little bit of age on him, and there are certain situations where you can see it. And although he wrestled a really good match against Samoa Joe, I think it wasn't always good. The promos, though, the promo battles with MJF, the promo battles with Eddie Kingston, the promo battles with everyone, members of the Elite, with Kenny, with all those people that he had promo battles with, were fantastic. It's just in the ring, the product wasn't the best. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens with the WWE, how this all plays out, how this all shows itself. And certainly we saw Seth Rollins, video of him losing his shit after the match. And after CM Punk had, I think, walked into the back, he's throwing the double bird salute. He's telling him to get out. And I should bring this up, I suppose, if I can find the link here. Let me bring this up because they were at a house show in Peoria, Illinois last night. Both Rollins and Drew McIntyre, who were, of course, the people that most people were looking at as being super pissed about the situation. And they delivered some thoughts here to the house show people who are in attendance for this. Let me see if I can share the screen and if I can bring up the audio here. Yeah, let's bring it up here.
I'm not going to waste any more breath on somebody who's been gone for 8 years, has done nothing but try to tear this place down. Instead, I want to take my time, waste my breath, use my breath. I'm talking about the people who've been here all along. That's everybody in the back who's made WWE the hottest ticket in town. And that's every single one of you who are here tonight and period.
Perfect face promo.
You guys got some beautiful singing voices.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful face promo. As the King would say, it was cheap pops, giving love to the fans, and saying that he's not going to spend a lot of time talking about someone who was talking shit about the company for 8 years, which admittedly CM Punk did. Certainly CM Punk talked all kinds of crap about Triple H. In fact, here, one of his quotes, I think I have his quotes here for him, talking about Hunter. He said that Triple H, in their final meeting regarding having a match with him at WrestleMania, this was almost 10 years ago, said, "I do not need to wrestle you," saying to Triple H, "You need to wrestle me. I do not want to wrestle you." Then he told Colt Cabana on his podcast that Hunter, quote, "never liked me. Me and him in a room together, it was always negative vibes." So the fact that Hunter is the one that has brought back CM Punk to the WWE in spite or despite all the stuff that CM Punk has said in the past. And certainly there's a lot of famous promos between CM Punk and Triple H, certainly that one in the ring being the most famous, where they're at the table doing the contract signing and what feels like really honest emotions are coming out between them. Certainly CM Punk's pipe bomb promo where he mentions Triple H and Vince and Cena and doesn't let up on either of them. All of it is there. You can find evidence of their hatred or his hatred of them. And of course, there was a defamation lawsuit with a WWE doctor, Christopher Amon. That was part of the whole stuff that was going on there after he left WWE. So there's a lot of it that was going on behind the scenes between them. But then the WWE, who clearly has been in conversations with CM Punk since he left in September. Remember back in April, he showed up at I think a Raw or a SmackDown there and was kindly escorted out after and didn't raise any stink when he was because he was still signed to AEW and people felt it was kind of crossing the lines, shouldn't do that. And so that's what happened with that situation. So clearly they had been maybe opening the doors. I'm sure it was CM Punk who went to Triple H hat in hand and said, hey, man, you know what? I said some shit. I was really mad. I don't feel this way anymore. I'd love another shot. What can we do? What can be done? And so that's how things seem to have gone down here and the hour-long conversation clear in the air. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to pull the curtain back on some behind the scenes. No two people in the sphere of the Schmodown have fought with more vitriol than me and Christian Harloff. I'll tell you, it's the honest truth. Christian and I have sometimes had the most hellacious fights. We've melted paint off the walls with some of the stuff we've said together. In my opinion, Christian instigating the battles, but in his opinion, probably me instigating the battles. But we have had some incredibly insane fights. We're East Coast boys. There's no limits, no walls. We said some of the most horrific shit to each other in anger over text or on the phone or in person. And there are witnesses to a couple of those interactions. Never coming to physical blows, of course. I don't believe in that because I don't want to go to jail. But certainly we've had some pretty strong battles because we're strong, opinionated people. But we always talk it out. We always find our way back to the middle. And we always go forward in our friendship. And that's the game, so to speak, the game. Maybe Triple H, CM Punk had themselves a clearing of the air. They're older men now. It's been 10 years. Remember, Triple H almost died of a heart attack or a heart situation. There's CM Punk, certainly the violence backstage at that scrum, and then the violence apparently with Tony Khan after the situation with Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and this is where you would say who, because yeah, he's irrelevant. There's maybe been some kind of like, okay, I got to pull this back. I got to take a look at things. And maybe he spoke with AJ, had a strong conversation with AJ, who's been a very big proponent. His wife, AJ Lee, who was a former star, of course, in WWE. She's a very big proponent of mental health. So maybe there's been conversations here. Now, do I think he's a changed person fully and nothing's going to happen? No. Trouble always seems to follow CM Punk. So we'll see where this goes in the long run. But I kind of want to take a wait and see reaction to all of this and see what people say. Perry's still on suspension? Of course he is. He's irrelevant. Yeah, Bruce says, talk about it, Rocha. No. That's between me and the Harloff, but we've had some battles. We've had some back and forths, but friends fight. I tell you this, Michael Vogel on the Geek Buddies and I have had some battles, some pretty hard battles. I've never fought with Shannon. I think once years ago. He's such an affable guy. We've just never had a disagreement. But Michael and I have had battles, and that's how it is. And you guys know me. I'm a emotional guy. I can be, I go toe to toe. I don't back down from anybody. And so that can happen. But it happens. And so, but it's about like, well, okay, now that you've cleared the air and you've both clearly been holding on to some stuff, can you find your way back and create space for a new understanding, a forgiveness, a moving forward? And the best friends or the strongest of friends always do seem to find a way because the friendship matters more. Now, I'm not saying Triple H and Punk are friends. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying they're older men. And let me tell you something. For you young guys in your 20s, or young people, rather, in your 20s and 30s, you don't know what it's like to reflect back on your life until you cross that 40 or 50 line. And all of a sudden, you just have a different point of view, a different perspective. You've had kids. You've been married. You've lost people. You've almost lost your life in the case of Triple H. And those things change you. Those things make you a different person. and give you a different perspective on the world. And I'm wondering how much of that might have been a part of all of this in the long run. But all that being said, for me, yeah, exactly. Haskell, go fuck yourself. 5 minutes later when we get dinner. Tomorrow, good for you. Yes, exactly. Haskell knows. He's an East Coast boy. That's how it works. But yeah, but for me, I was just excited. Like I almost did a watch along of Survivor Series, but I'll be honest with you, we've been battling possibly getting sick for the last 4 days. Even now, my throat's a little dry, a little raspy because I've been kind of in bed for the last 4 days. That's why I haven't done any content or done anything because I've been totally out. And so I wasn't doing a watch along last night because I know what watch alongs do to my body. I get very, very excited, very emotional, and they can wear me out. When I had COVID, it was doing the wrestling show that sent me back down and got bronchitis for a week after I got COVID because I pushed myself too far talking about wrestling because I'm very, very passionate about pro wrestling. So I didn't want to have that happen over a 3-hour show, but I regret it because I would have liked to have seen it in real time and reacted in real time. I was watching it later that night, later on Saturday night, calmly on my recliner after Lady Outlaw had gone to bed. And when that moment happened, I lost my shit. I absolutely lost my shit. So it was incredible to see. And I was so happy to see CM Punk back, see the reaction. I am a Punk defender. I'm not a Punk apologist. There's a difference, but I am a Punk defender because I think he is one of those rare energies in the world of pro wrestling that just finds a way to stay successful and encourages people to follow him and support him. And here are the numbers that dropped. I think I have me here. Yeah, here are the numbers here from WrestleOps. CM Punk's return at Survivor Series 2023 last night has amassed an estimated over 87,200,000 views across all WWE social platforms / clips uploaded in under 24 hours. 87 million. Okay. 87 million. That is not chicken feed. And Jungle Boy Jack Perry ain't getting 87 million. Eddie Kingston ain't getting 87 million. Dare I say it, Kenny Omega, the Elite, and the Young Bucks, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page all combined wouldn't get an 87 million response there. And that tells you the difference. The man has a pull, has an attraction, has an aura, has something that you cannot quantify or put your finger on that professional wrestling fans love and enjoy and are 100% on board. So, hold on. Still 87 million. But who? I mean, so here's what can't be unique views, right? Who knows Planet Yevon and who gives a shit? 87 million. Okay, I'll take 87 million any day, and 7 ways to Sunday. So it's insane. Phil P says huge love, John, and the entire Outlaw family from old London town. What's up, Phil? How's the lady, Phil? I hope she's doing well. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Question: did the Lady Outlaw get that Popeyes turkey? We did not get the Popeyes turkey this year. I hope you all, I should say that. I'm going to take a quick break to say, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed your time, however you spent it. Like I know the holidays are tough for a lot of people. Certainly, we went through some stuff over the last 4 days, going to 2 separate Thanksgivings on the same day, driving back and forth to LA, each of us separately once, and then again for Thanksgiving, and no regrets at all. We had a great time at Thanksgiving in the morning with all of Lindley's family, who one day I hope become my family officially, and then later on at my friend's place, which I hope you saw the pictures on Instagram, which have also become Lindley's friends there. We had a great time, but it took a lot out of us, and both of us have been kind of recovering from that. But no, unfortunately, Phil, we did not get a Popeyes turkey this year because we knew we weren't staying in town this year. So we relied on other people to get the turkeys for us. Lindley's family having ordered the turkey, which was fantastic. And then my friend Josh Moon cooking the turkey for our get-together, our Friendsgiving later on that night at my friend Jonathan Cabay's house. So a really great time. And I hope you all had a wonderful time on your Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good time with your family, with your friends. If you spent it by yourself, if you spent it with one person, significant other, if you didn't give a shit about Thanksgiving and just watched movies or went about your day and had a regular Thursday, I hope you had a good time with that as well. So just saying in all kinds of love. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. And here we are coming into my favorite season of the year, as you can tell, Christmas. I love Christmas. I'm a big fan of Christmas. We have a winter wonderland that is almost finished, and I will take pictures and post it on Instagram. I told the Lady Outlaw this year that money is no object. I mean, within reason. And we will put up some nice displays out there, and we will run up the light bill as we put up tonight. But she is, as always, an incredible decorator. Found some really cool things, and she's the one that built it all up, y'all. I can't do it. I'm incompetent. I'm not able to do it. I'm happy just to be her helper as she puts everything up and hangs it up, and it looks great. I can't wait to take a final picture of it the next few days when we finally get everything squared away and get our Christmas tree as well. So yeah, those are the situations we got going on. So I just want to wrap up one thing and hit on something, because Kristen did a video about this. I thought it was a really good video. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on his channel, talking about Seth Rollins' reaction to the situation. And I just played you a clip of him in Peoria, Illinois, at a house show for WWE, talking about CM Punk. And I think this is great, because this is all an angle, and it's already coming out how this is all an angle, and this is going to lead to them headlining night one of WrestleMania. Well, I think in the long run, that's what it's going to lead to: CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins can pull out the old hits like he usually does whenever anyone comes back from the past to be a part of WrestleMania. He complained when The Rock came back. He always complains when anybody else comes back. But I guarantee you, in 10 years, when it's Seth Rollins coming back, he will have eaten a lot of crow, just like Cena did with The Rock. And he will be the one coming back to headline at WrestleMania. And I guarantee you he won't say no. So it's just the circle of life in pro wrestling. The people in their prime or the young up-and-comers are always mad at the old-timers who come back and take a spot. But that's the cycle of professional wrestling when it comes to WrestleMania. So it'll happen, and it'll be fun. And I saw some people making fun. I've been so surprised at some of the defenders of AEW with the vitriol that they've been spewing out and the gleeful hatred of CM Punk. And I've seen some people say that AEW saved wrestling. Man, get the fuck out of here. I don't know what kind of nonsense that is to say AEW saved wrestling. AEW was another in a long line of competitors to the WWE, and in the end couldn't do enough. Now, it's going to keep going. It'll be fine. Tony Khan's got deep pockets. They've signed a bunch of fresh new talent that will eventually go to the WWE. I put my money on it. But in the long run, there's nothing that AEW did that WCW didn't do when the NWO happened, that Ric Flair and the old school Georgia Championship Wrestling and old school WCW did back in the 80s to compete with the WWF at the time, of course, soon to become the WWE. It's just the even TNA a little bit with their Hogan, Bischoff, Main Event Mafia. ECW had its time in the sun to compete a little bit with WWE, but the federations pop up all the time to compete with the WWE, and the fans sometimes will go to those federations and watch their shows and support their shows, but they always end up back in the WWE, as well as the wrestlers ending up back in the WWE. And I'll tell you this, and I was thinking about it today. I almost posted this, really one of my missives that I've been posting lately on my Twitter, but I held back on it because I wanted to save for the show. And this is the way I look at it. WWE fans are like in a long-term marriage with the WWE, okay? The ones that have been around as long as I have, like, because I've been watching since the 80s. And the WWE is like our wife or our husband, right? However you identify. You still have a wife or a husband. And every once in a while, a new young person comes into the equation, takes your attention for a little bit, get you all excited because it's something new and young and possible and exciting and vibrant and rebellious. But then eventually that goes away and you come right back to your husband or your wife. Because I'm not saying that it's an affair. I'm just saying that you can be distracted, but then you can always come back to the WWE. Why? Because the WWE sees you getting eyes or having an interest in this different type of wrestling or different approach or different views. And the WWE always course corrects. The Attitude Era was a course correction to the NWO because they had become stale, the WWE, which is why WCW was able to come in there with the NWO and rule the roost for 83 weeks. They had gotten stale. And the same thing happened with ECW, influencing more of the violence in WWE. They wanted more. The public had a taste for that kind of stuff. And so these are the things that happen, right? Hogan was constantly challenged by Flair in the 1980s because Flair was seen as the real wrestler and Hogan was seen as the mainstream pop wrestler with 5 moves, right? Kind of like what they used to hang on Cena, the 5 moves of death. These are the things that you saw. So it's always happened. And AEW was just the latest. Now, nothing to take away from AEW and the phenomenal job that Cody, Nick Khan, or Tony Khan rather, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, anybody that was involved at the beginning did an incredible job of launching AEW. From Cody taking that sledgehammer to what looked like Triple H's throne as a symbol that he was breaking away from WWE, all the way to maybe just about when they started bringing in all the cast-off WWE talent. And let's make it clear, people didn't jump from WWE to AEW. WWE was done with them, and they left to go to AEW, right? They were frustrated with the storylines. Nobody was successful in WWE currently or was successful at current to their time in WWE ever left to go be with AEW. That's not how it ever worked. Even Edge, who was a recent person who jumped over from WWE to AEW, it was kind of getting stale with Edge. Even though we love Edge, there's only so far you can go. They're never going to put a belt on him. And so he wanted to go someplace else where he could wrestle all the time. And he got his wish. Jericho has been an incredible revelation to AEW. He's been phenomenal. Christian has found a second or third or fourth or fifth wind, depending on how long you've watched Christian as a wrestler. And it's fine. AEW is going to be fine. They're going to survive. They're going to keep working. But their idea of ever challenging the WWE again, I think, is kind of done, like it was with WCW after those 83 weeks, like it does with ECW when WWE eventually bought them, and WCW as well, like it was with TNA. You still have, but look, Nick Aldis is now just a kind of co-general manager over on SmackDown. So, you see what happens. The WWE eventually is where everyone goes back to, wrestlers and fans included. So you can prop up AEW all you want, but the truth, and they do deserve props for what they were able to do. Some phenomenal matches, phenomenal events, and incredible stuff. But the last few years has been a debacle with the way they've pissed away the women's division, the way they've allowed Britt Baker to basically really bury Thunder Rosa, which was an ugly, ugly thing. The CM Punk, the Elite, having them run Cody, or not CM Punk, but the Elite and Omega, Bucks and all them, having them run Cody out of the AEW so he can become an even bigger superstar in the WWE. Cody should send them all gift baskets and thanks. And so in the end, it hasn't really been that great. They pissed away Athena. She's now at Ring of Honor, which nobody, Ronda Rousey came back to Ring of Honor, came back to wrestling and went to Ring of Honor. There was a story for 6 hours? And then poof, it was gone. And that tells you the difference. So all these AEW defenders and apologists wanting to elevate AEW, the truth is the WWE will always retain top spot on the throne. And you can have fun challenging them. And I think it's great. It's good and healthy for competition to challenge the big dog in the yard every once in a while. But the big dog usually wins. And now with Triple H coming in as creative and moving Vince McMahon out, Endeavor moving Vince McMahon out, you've got new younger blood, who is going to elevate WWE and even more so into the stratosphere. So that's and then bringing CM Punk is just a coup. It's a kick in the nuts to AEW. And I know Tony Khan can't talk about it, but that's the situation there. All right, let's take a quick break. We got 215 of you hanging out with me. Thanks so much for taking time on this afternoon or evening to hang out with me. I appreciate it. We've been talking about 50 minutes on CM Punk. I was only going to do 30, but of course, it's CM Punk. What can you do? When I come back, do I have any Streamlabs or Super Chats? I got one Streamlab. So if you want to send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats here as we go along, would appreciate your support for the Outlaw Nation channel, for everything we got going on. Send in your love. You know, we don't have any sponsors, so we depend on you all to support us and what we're doing, either by joining the Patreon or by sending in stuff when we do our live shows here, Streamlabs and Super Chats. Would love to hear from you. We'll read it on the air. I'm going to jump in onto all the Marvel news after this, hit some of my reviews, and also talk these rumors that I've heard from some of my people, some of my sources, and some of my connections, and get your thoughts on those as well. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this. All right, welcome back. And just to wrap up one more thing on CM Punk, the Drew McIntyre stuff, it's pretty much coming out that that's also a work, of course, and his storming to the back, that was all staged for him to go. You know, he talked about it in Peoria as well and said, you know what make me happy? You know, my team lost. I lost the world title. I don't care about anything else. You know what make me happy is winning a world title. So certainly smoothing things over there. Maybe that's going to lead to a feud down the road as well. We shall see. But yeah, there's there. All right, let's hit some of these Streamlabs or some of these Streamlabs Super Chats here. Jay Luna Midnight says, what do you think about Nolan's comments on the WWE studios and HBO Max commentary dealings with Oppenheimer? Oh, what did he say? I did not see what he said. Let me look it up real quick and see if I can see what he said about WB. Let's see. Christopher Nolan's Warner Brothers feud may have led may have gifted us Barbenheimer. Right. Yeah, the reality is Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, his issues there. Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working some of the with WB streaming. Right, exactly. Is there something more? I don't know if there's anything more about this. So if you want to send me a link, I will take a look at it. And see, because pretty much everyone is saying that Warner Brothers breakup with Nolan might not be permanent, that he might be coming back. This has been over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, we could see if they would want to come back and be a part of this. So we shall see. Let's see what else we got here. Francisco Lopez says, hey, John, is there a chance we can see a new wrestling show or bring back Strong Styles? I really miss your wrestling show / Strong Style. No plural there. Let's just say I've been thinking about it, but I think bringing it back with Aaron or Chris is probably not going to happen. I reached out to both of them about going live to talk about the CM Punk thing yesterday. And both of them begged off on doing it. So that tells me that they may love texting on our thread about pro wrestling, but they're not necessarily willing to put everything down and jump on to do a live show about CM Punk, recognizing the importance of CM Punk coming back. So, you know, it is what it is. And I understand that, of course. We did the show for a very long time. I mean, Aaron and I did, and Chris, of course, coming in near the tail end. So it's understandable, and we're all busy. And Aaron's been working on a number of things in his own personal life in terms of where he wants to go next in terms of his job and his businesses, his opportunities. So it's understandable. But I have thought about doing my own show where I would recap Raw, recap SmackDown, just to have more content on the channel. So, because I'll tell you this, the Outlaw Nation name is going away. And I think at the end of the day, as much as I've kicked my brain around and around to try to figure out a new name for the channel, I think at the end of the day, it's got to be the John Rocha channel, the John Rocha show or something like that. And it'll probably be animated with some shots of me and stuff, having fun, doing whatever. But I think that's the way to go. And I think that's where it'll end up. I'll end up landing. I had some other ideas for names for the channel that I thought would be fun. I thought Film Blast was a good name, but then people were like, well, why? That sounds like you only talk about film, and it would limit me from talking about TV. And I would have to have TV Blast or Wrestling Blast or Sports Blast. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. But I liked the idea of Film Blast, but people have talked me out of that one. If you all have a good name for a channel to replace the Outlaw Nation, that'd be a lot of fun. It doesn't mean the nation is going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere, motherfuckers. We hanging around. But if we want to give a new name, I think it'd be good to move on from that. I mean, the Outlaw, that was years ago. The Schmodown feels like very much in the rearview mirror. So it's time to change, but I want to maybe get a name that is just as strong and powerful. So we'll see. But yeah, there is a chance that I will bring something back. I may not call it Strong Style. I may call it something else. But there is a very real possibility for sure, Francisco. And maybe I'll get them on as guests for like a week or two, 1 week or whatever, and have fun with different people coming on the show. Maybe even get my boy Ryan Satin to be on the show, which has been a bit. I know he'd have a lot to say about CM Punk coming back to the WWE. See, Phil says, hey there, John. Huge love. Oh, you already read that one. Sorry. Phil also said, any chance of a premiership review on Game Time? Woo! No, but there is a chance for a Liverpool show on the Game Time Sports channel that will also talk about other games in the Premier League. So I think that's a very real possibility as I expand doing more content on the different channels to add to what we already do here on the Outlaw Nation channel. So yes, very much so, Phil. It is in my mind, been in my mind to do one. And especially because this feels like it's shaping up to be another magical season. I don't know if we're going to win the title, but I think we escaped with a draw against Man City in the Etihad. Not an easy thing to do. So I just feel like this team, I've got a lot of love for this team. And it may be Salah's last hurrah wearing the red and white of Liverpool. So I would like to maybe celebrate that. And I already have a title for that show that'll be on the channel. Tim Sim says, I'm not the only one that isn't confident in CM Punk's return to WWE being all smooth and steady since being fired from AEW. Am I? No, of course not. Of course not, Tim. That's a valid concern to have. Certainly, CM Punk has shown, as I said, that trouble follows him wherever he goes. So we will see if it follows him to WWE. But I feel like this time around, if he doesn't understand his place in the pecking order, and there are plenty of people who will tell him his place in the pecking order, then I think he'll be gone quickly. I think Triple H will boot him out, and I think that'll be his last shot. And if you see him again, it'll be at Impact or someplace smaller down the road, maybe GCW or whatever. You'll see him down there. But I think this is his last shot with the big boys. And if he fucks it up here, I cannot imagine him going back to AEW at all. So, because I think here it's a mental thing. He saw people at AEW as beneath him. He does not feel that way about the people at WWE because they're much more accomplished in what they've done in the pro wrestling world. So I think that's, and I'm saying it's right. I'm just saying that's probably how he views it. So he has much more respect for being told what to do and follow the rules at WWE now than he would have had back then, and then he had at AEW. So at least that's my hope, brother. Galliant says, any more DC rumors? Do I have DC? Maybe. Stick around and find out on Rocha's rumors. And Rob McDonald says, if Vince still ran creative, would Punk have returned? I think it's possible, but I don't think it would have been quite as smooth as Triple H made it. So I would say it was maybe still possible because, I mean, Vince brought back Warrior and Hogan and Flair and all kinds of people that have talked shit. Bret Hart, who punched him in the mouth, okay? Punched Vince in the mouth. That was not a work. That was real, or in the head, rather. That was not a work. That was real. So Vince has always shown a proclivity to, let bygones be bygones and bring people back. So we shall see. Haskell said, see you in 17 years and enjoy prison. Tammy Sitch. Yeah, Sonny. Yeah, I saw that news as well, Haskell. Very a shame all around. Of course, for the people who were hurt, killed by Tammy, but also for Tammy, who sadly just is a lost soul in substance abuse. And I mean, I'm sure we all know someone who's dealt with substance abuse and knows the pain of that. And certainly it's a shame for Tammy, but of course our thoughts are with the people who've lost their lives at her hands, which is not cool. Phil Nellums saying, just sending some love. I can't wait to see what happens with Punk back in WWE. I'm excited about this development, regardless of how I feel about him most times on a personal level. Cheers, Rocha. Yeah, Hill, I can totally understand people not liking him on a personal level. Totally create space for that. But on the wrestling level, can't be denied how popular it is. It just can't, but I totally understand, brother. And thanks so much for stopping in, dude. I always love seeing you, man. And you're always very kind to send some support here to the channel, brother. It means the world, honestly. AZ Badfish said, what about next second media or something like that? Play on your sign off and how you know what's coming next. Next second media. I think we can work a little bit harder on that title. Does that grab you, next second media? I don't know if that grabs you quite the same way like the Outlaw Nation would grab you. You know what I'm saying? So something maybe, but it's a good suggestion, AZ. I don't know if that 100% fits what we're doing here, but maybe down the road, maybe I'll change my mind. We shall see, but I appreciate it, brother, man. Rocha, have you watched that wrestling doc on Vice TV? Which one, dude? There's been so many on Vice TV, brother, man. There's many on Vice TV. All right, let's get into this Marvel stuff. I've been holding off long enough. Let's get into this Marvel stuff. Where shall we start? Let's start with the big news, and that is the Michael Waldron news. Deadline's Justin Kroll. And this is why, see what just happened? This is also another change coming to the WWE, to the Outlaw Nation. I am ordering, thanks to Black Friday, a mic arm that's going to be able to exist here, and I don't no longer have to knock it down because of my flailing hands. So that'll be a new change coming to the channel as well. I can't wait. Rockin' Rocha. There you go. Rocha's Roundup. That's hilarious. Rocha Nation. Yeah, DM me a name, please, Cowboys fan. I'd love it. Yeah, you guys are. If any of you suggest a name that I actually use, I will give you full credit on a live show and give you all kinds of love. Shout it out, retweet it, whatever you want to give you love for a name. If the name really appeals to me and I take it, absolutely give you full credit for it. No lie, man. All right, so let's get this news. This is from Deadline's Justin Kroll. Let me bring this up here. Michael Waldron has been tapped to write Marvel Studios Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. He had already been set to write the installment that would follow the Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars. But now he is set to write both of them, which is real interesting because I'm fascinated by this on so many levels because I was not the biggest fan of how can I say it? I was not the biggest fan of Multiverse of Madness. So to me, this how can I set this? Is it Phantom Power? Is that what it is? Is that what I need to set? I need to set the Phantom Power. Is that how I'm going to keep it up here? Maybe that's what I need to do to set the Phantom Power. Okay, good. All right, good. We figured this out. I could barely hear myself. Now we figured this out. It's saved. All right. So anyway, so he's in charge, or he's going to be writing these two films back to back. And now he's also the creator of Loki season 1. But I'll tell you this, I hated Multiverse of Madness. Just thought it was a terrible movie. And I'm not excited that he is going to be writing. Yeah, I've got to find a way to stop that. Do I have to hit it like this to hit it on the? Anyway, I'm not excited that he's going to be writing the two movies because, as I said, I wasn't a fan. See, there it is. It keeps clipping. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Why does it keep clipping here and not going higher? It's very confusing. Clip guard. Here we go. Maybe take that off. Go to 120 hertz. Maybe that'll make it all right for me to be able to turn up the volume on this in my headphones because it keeps reducing the volume on its own. Here we go again. It's so. If anybody got any tip on these Elgato Wave XLRs, because I'm about to toss it out the window and go back to my other audio system, let me know. But anyway, I'm not a fan of him. I didn't like. I'm not a fan of Multiverse of Madness. He did create Loki season 1, but here's the thing you got to understand. Eric Martin wrote a lot, or went back and rewrote a lot of season 1. When he was asked about, and Eric Martin, who was the showrunner and head writer for season 2 of Loki, this is what he said when he talked about season 1. He said, so when Michael left to go do Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, he passed off the reins to me for season 1. So I was the production writer and he co-wrote episode 6. So I finished that one off, and then COVID hit and I had to rewrite a ton of the season because of all the new realities we were facing. So the promotion was somewhere along that process, but I can't even remember when. I should probably write these things down. It would be nice to actually know the date when my life changed. But Marvel contacted me and said, hey, we are going to do season 2 for sure. We had talked about it for a long time, but it hadn't been a certainty. So they asked me to be the head writer, and it made a lot of sense for me. I had been so deep in everything from the beginning of the season 1's writer's room all the way through production and everything. So it was just a natural step because I had taken over for production and then rewritten things throughout the pandemic. It felt like I'd already done this job in a smaller way. So it was comfortable leap. So this is super interesting because essentially what Eric Martin is saying is that he wrote season 1 and season 2, yet now they're bringing in Michael Waldron, who wrote Multiverse of Madness, which I hated, to write both of these Secret Wars films. Now here's another piece of this that frustrates the piss out of me. As someone who didn't like Multiverse of Madness, there have been rumors that Sam Raimi is being eyed, and that's been tweeted out and posted by people who have sources at Marvel, that Sam Raimi is in serious consideration to direct both of the Secret Wars movies. Now, I get that it hasn't been super successful with some of the younger directors. You know, recently we saw with the Marvels not doing well financially. And whatever your feelings about the movie aside, you have to look at the box office. The box office is not doing well. I just don't think it makes sense to bring in someone like Sam Raimi and his sensibilities to come in and do both of these movies. I think there's a very real serious danger that this would be the death knell of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And look, you guys have seen all my shows, or those of you seen all my shows, or a lot of my shows, you know, I don't ring the bell for the death knell of Marvel. I've never said this is the end, or this signifies the end, or this might be the end. To me, if you bring Sam Raimi back with Michael Waldron writing, and I know Multiverse of Madness almost made $1 billion just at the tail end of COVID. I totally respect that. But that film, quality-wise, is just not good. They pissed away America Ferrera's introduction. It makes no sense that they just essentially repeated the same lesson Wanda had just learned in WandaVision. And then you find out that they never even watched fucking WandaVision or read the scripts for WandaVision. And so in the end, it was like, what was the use of this film? And it was terribly done. And I know some people love the chords and the notes and the music and the bars and all of that, or going through the multiple different universes and all of that. I get it. Some of you like that. I hated it. And I'm not the only one. Certainly the Geek Buddies weren't big fans of Multiverse of Madness, and a few of my other friends whose opinion I trust on film didn't like the movie either. And I just think Sam is not the right choice at this time, if that's where they go. But to me, the Michael Waldron hiring to write both of them, because he'd already been hired to write one of them, signifies to me that we're one step closer to Sam Raimi coming back to direct, which would drive me insane. Oh, did I say America's Ferrera? I always get it confused. America Chavez. Not America Ferrera. I always say America Ferrera. I'm sorry about that. America Chavez, yes. The Russo brothers absolutely should be the people coming back to direct this. I would trust a Michael Waldron written film, or duo of films, if the Russos were coming back to writing. But as I said, Eric Martin needs to be involved here, because he did such a wonderful job with Loki season 1 and season 2. So, to me, it didn't excite me, this news, and it made me worried more than anything else. And I feel like if we go back to Sam, someone who was relevant in the 90s, we're not going to have that real interesting edginess to Marvel that you need to keep the franchise going and keep people excited about the franchise. It just doesn't make sense to go back to Sam, and who's, of course, a filmmaker worthy of respect, who's accomplished a lot of things, but also who's had some stinkers on his resume. And I see apologists all the time. I see these Raimi apologists all the time, like Spider-Man 3 wasn't his fault, or trying to tell me The Quick and the Dead is a good movie. It's a good cheesy movie, but it's not a good movie. Okay, and I love that Sandra Bullock, or Sharon Stone was the lead of a Western, a female lead of Western. It's pretty awesome. But the film itself was kind of, it's fine. It's fun for what it was. Saturday afternoon movie with Dutch angles in the Western settings. It's fine. But it wasn't an incredible film. Drag Me to Hell, that was a good film. The first 2 Spider-Men, those are good films. Evil Dead 1 and 2, those are good films. Army of Darkness. But, so certainly he has some good ones on his resume, but I just really did not like Multiverse of Madness. And if this is what we're going to get for Secret Wars, then I think we're in some trouble. And maybe they think because Sam's been around a long time and a lot of these actors like Downey Jr. and others that they might be bringing back have been around a long time, that this will kind of smooth things over a little bit easier for them. Maybe they think he can command a production in the way that other young directors might not be able to. Maybe that's the situation there. Maybe that's why they got rid of Destin Daniel Cretton, or he said he wanted to go focus on other things. Maybe they realized, maybe Destin isn't the one to kind of run this thing. I don't know, but it doesn't make me excited. So, all right, let's move on to some other Marvel news here. And what do we got here? Oh yeah, Daniel Richtman. We always love Daniel. He always dropping scoops and stuff. This is some sad news. According to him, and I'm getting this from comicbookmovie.com or comicbook.com, sorry. The new Disney Plus plan is to shelve the special presentations after Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special underperformed on Disney Plus. That's right. They're going to shelve these special presentations, which probably means we're not going to get any more of these special presentations. Because they were underwhelming. So the question is, where does this lead the Witch's Road special, which is expected to follow Agatha? And Iger keeps saying things are going to be handled differently. And there were supposed to be special presentations around Nova, possibly Silver Surfer. But it seems like they're going to release them in different ways now, or release these stories in different ways now. So it's such a shame. We see Iger reducing the number of Marvel offerings next year when we have Echo, Deadpool 3, and Agatha, because I'm sure they're going to move X-Men 97 to probably 2025 now. And Ironheart has been put on 2025. So to lose the special presentations, I think is such a shame, because I personally I'm going to be watching, as soon as December 1st hits, a Hawkeye rewatch and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special rewatch is definitely in order. I should have watched Werewolf by Night to celebrate Halloween a few weeks ago and didn't, but I'm going to rewatch it in color and see what that is like. But yeah, it's a shame to lose those special presentations, because I think a lot of us really love those special presentations. And maybe you have to have been of a certain age to remember special presentations. And maybe that's why it underperformed, because it didn't appeal necessarily to the younger crowd. So it's a shame. It's a shame. Let's see. Let's move on to some other Marvel stuff. Marvel timeline stuff. I don't know if you know this, but there's a book out now called, and not the MCU book that you can see on my shelf here, but there's another book out now called Marvel Studios, The Marvel Cinematic Universe, An Official Timeline. It's on a Costco the other day. I might go pick it up because it's going to be cheaper there. It's the most thorough look at the MCU's timeline that Marvel has ever released. It was written by Anthony Breznican, who's, of course, a well-known writer from EW, Vanity Fair, and other places, Amy Ratcliffe, and Rebecca Theodore Vachon. And the book details or addresses Marvel's ABC and Netflix shows. Most of the time, we know that the MCU kind of ignored Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., ignored the Marvel shows on Netflix. I mean, remember the Darkhold was introduced in WandaVision, even though it was introduced already in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a completely different Darkhold. And we did have that kind of moment where the dude from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra in Winter Soldier. So we have had just occasional crossovers into the MCU, but it hasn't been that big of a deal. James Gunn once stated that no Marvel television shows produced before WandaVision were canon to the MCU, but Feige has said the shows are canonical. But it's interesting because in this official timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which everything's supposed to be canon, Daredevil's appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home and She-Hulk Attorney at Law shows up, but not his time on the Netflix shows. And then what does the book say about Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Danny Rand's Iron Fist? Nothing. The book says nothing about any of those shows. They're not even mentioned in the book, the MCU, An Official Timeline. So that tells me that they don't see them as part of the canon or canonical, as Kevin said. Also, the events of the Marvel Studios produced Agent Carter short film are mentioned, but the television show, which said something in the introduction of the book, he says on the multiverse note, we recognize that there are stories, movies, and series that are canonical to Marvel, there's that word, but were created by different storytellers during different periods of Marvel's history. The timeline presented in this book is specific to the MCU's sacred timeline through Phase 4, but as we move forward and dive deeper into the multiverse saga, you never know when timelines may just crash or converge. Hint, hint, / spoiler alert. So basically what he might be implying is that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Netflix shows are on a separate timeline, even though Feige has called them canon or canonical, but they take place possibly on another branch of the timeline, and they may show up down the road. So this feels eerily familiar to the Flash movie, that you would have these worlds slam into each other and see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crossing over from one universe into the main universe, like for something like Secret Wars. And so essentially implying that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Netflix shows are all a different part of a universe. And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shows are new, one universe. The Marvel Netflix shows are another universe. The ABC Marvel shows, like the Inhumans and Agent Carter, are another universe. And we saw already Anson Mount coming back as Black Bolt in Multiverse of Madness, which was a terrible sequence. But so this is interesting because basically he's saying that they could show up down the road, and he's hedging his bets by saying they're going to show up in Secret Wars probably. So, the MCU. What a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. So it's going to be interesting to see how they make this happen. Because look, I'm not a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No one's going to convince me that was a good show. You can talk till you're out of your breath. It just didn't work for me, that show. A lot of cheesy acting, a lot of storylines that just, and Chloe Bennett back as Quake. A lot of people really want Quake to show up. So it seems like Kevin is giving himself an out to maybe make that happen, but not fully committing to it. So Crafty work by Mr. Feige, and I respect it. He's a producer. He knows the things to say to keep them on the line. All right, let's move on to the next thing in the Marvel Universe here. Am I buffering? Oh, sorry, guys. If I'm buffering, I apologize. Maybe because we've got a lot of things running on the internet right now. I apologize if that's happening. Let me see here. Any more? Okay. Just want to remind you all, any Streamlabs or Super Chats. If I am buffering, I apologize. I'll fix it. Wiley OFC says, hey, Rocha, what's your thoughts on Antoine Fuqua's King Arthur from 2004? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I did have a good Thanksgiving. Let me adjust this a little bit. It's not always easy to adjust that. There we go. Antoine Fuqua's 2000. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not a. Which one is that one? Who's the lead in that one? Is that the one with No, Ridley Scott's is the Robin Hood. So what's the King? Is that the one with Jude Law? Oh, no, it's Clive Owen. That's the one, Clive Owen. Oh, and Keira Knightley. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. It's okay. I mean, I get that you want to make Guinevere a badass. But Ian Gruffudd as Lancelot, I just never bought that. Although this is an interesting cast in this one. Wow, I may need to go back and watch this. Jesus Christ, listen to this cast. Once you get past Clive Owen and Keira Knightley, who are, of course, two leading actors. Stephen Delane is in this. Ian Gruffudd, as I just said, who was, of course, Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movies. Joel Edgerton is in this movie as Gawain the Green Knight. Mads Mikkelsen is Tristan. Ray Winstone is in this film. Stellan Skarsgård is in this film. Till Schweiger, who some of you know from Inglourious Bastards. And Ray Stevenson is in this film. The late, great Ray Stevenson is in this film as Dagonet. So I probably need to rewatch this movie, I guess, because it's been a bit. And even Ken Stott is in this film, who some of you remember from the Hobbit movies as one of the dwarves, and also as Rebus, for you old British watchers of crime shows. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you, Wiley, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving as well, my man. I don't think they've done a good King Arthur film since Excalibur, in my opinion. They really haven't. I haven't liked any of the King Arthur movies. Not First Night. Not the one with well, I guess I like the young kid, right? The most recent one with Rebecca Ferguson. I thought that was a sweet one. But yeah, there was another one I'm missing that I can't remember. Which is the one? Was that Robin Hood, the one with Taron Egerton, and was it Jamin Hansu and Jude Law? I think that was Robin Hood. Anyway, let's see here. What's our next one? Right, the Doctor Doom. Let's get into the Doctor Doom story here and send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats as we go along. Doctor Doom, according to my time to shine, hello, Cillian Murphy is now the studio's top choice to play Doctor Doom. This Cillian Murphy here. I love this fan art of him as Doctor Doom. Of course, other people have been mentioned. If you've watched the Hot Mic, my sources for the Rocha rumors mentioned Jason Clarke, Ray Fiennes. Mads Mikkelsen was apparently someone they were looking at as well. But Cillian Murphy is an interesting choice. So I kind of like this idea of Cillian Murphy being Doctor Doom. I think it'd be interesting. It works age-wise. If you're going to create a love triangle with Vanessa Kirby and Oscar Isaac and Cillian Murphy, I think that would absolutely work. He's no stranger to superhero films, as he was a Scarecrow in Christopher Nolan's Batman films. And of course, with Oppenheimer, now he's possibly going to win a Best Actor Oscar, certainly going to get nominated. So maybe Cillian Murphy, and of course, Peaky fucking Blinders. Now back, maybe he's like really back, because there was that time where Cillian first came onto the scene. Things like Red Eye and other films, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, which I thought he was fantastic in that film. And maybe now it's time for him to come come a little bit later on as a older actor. Maybe it's time to come in. A Doctor Doom would be great. I'd be 100% on board with this. He's not supposed to be a big part of the Fantastic Four movies, a movie rather, but he will be the main villain, apparently. That's the rumor for Avengers Secret Wars. So I can't, this is a great choice if it's Cillian Murphy. I kind of like the idea. An unusual Doctor Doom. He's not the big burly Doctor Doom. He's much more intellectual, cerebral, skinnier guy. Maybe he builds that suit to make him, look bigger, look more intimidating, look more muscular. I kind of like this idea. So I don't know about you all, but I like it. I'm on board with this. Are you hearing breaking news? Isaac is Doom. Yeah, Oscar Isaac is Doom. We shall see. We shall see. All right, so we'll keep our tabs on it. Apparently Marvel is going to announce it very, very soon. Their full cast: Vanessa Kirby, possibly Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Human Torch, and Ebon Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm. We shall see if that's what happens. Do I have to keep my voice this? Maybe I just have to keep my voice this low because I think I need to yell, but I don't need to yell. So we shall see. All right, let's move on to Taika Waititi. Taika, director of Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder. He was on the Smartless podcast, the one hosted by Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes from Will and Grace fame. And he was talking about the beginnings of him being involved in the MCU, and he said he had no interest in joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a director. He said, you know what? This is his quote. Actually, I think I have it up here. Yeah, here we go. You know what? I had no interest in doing one of those films. It wasn't on my plan for my career as an auteur, but I was poor and I just had a second child. And I thought, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to feed these children. And Thor, let's face it, it was probably the least popular franchise. I never read Thor's comics as a kid. That was the comic I'd pick up and be like, ugh. And then I did some research on it and I read one Thor comic or 18 pages or however long they are. And I was still baffled by this character. So a lot of people are commenting on this and saying like, well, this is not a way for you to keep the job or to show your appreciation for Marvel taking a chance on you. And he says later on in the interview that Marvel must have been scraping the bottom of the barrel to reach out to him to be the director for Thor Ragnarok. And I can understand why he might feel that way. Although I don't agree, I can understand why he might feel that way. But to me, I think this is such a weird set of comments to be saying about your job as Marvel, as a director of Marvel. So it would to say, I just did it for the money. I was bottom of the barrel. I'm an auteur. I wouldn't really do these things. In some ways, it really lends more credence to the idea of like Marvel as a factory and directors can't come in and be themselves in this factory. And that bothers me because I think Marvel has done an excellent job trying to let people have their own vision while also adhering to the overall structure of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not lately, obviously, for me with Chloe Zhao. I think the Marvels, a couple other films that didn't quite, Wakanda Forever, trying to shove in too much. But for the most part, I think they've done a really nice job. I mean, Ryan Coogler's Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture. Let's not forget that. And so that's a Ryan Coogler movie. But for the most part, letting them have their vision. Even the first Captain Marvel, who, you may not like the first movie, and I totally understand that. But you can't deny that couple's signatures are all over the style of that movie. Just like Eternals, Chloe Zhao's style is all over that movie. You may not like that style in that movie, but her style is in that movie. So, I mean, I think it's fun and fascinating. People try to turn this shit and try to claim it's a factor. So for him to say, well, I just did it because I needed the money. I was poor. And then to denigrate Thor in the entire quote, I thought was fascinating. Is that a way you get a job? Does this make you excited for a Star Wars film? I mean, he says he's a Star Wars fan, but what's he going to say once he makes the film? I was never a Star Wars fan, or I was a Star Wars fan, and I thought I'd mess around with these characters. Because he already said a couple of weeks ago, like, his Star Wars movie is going to piss a lot of people off. And I don't know. I respect Taika as an artist, and I love his stuff. From The Squid and the Whale? No, that's not him. That's Baumbach. What was the film he did? Was that romantic comedy, Australian romantic, Eagle Meets Shark or something like that? I remember watching that. And then Hunt for the Wilder People, and then everything that's come since. And I even liked Next Goal Wins, even though Next Goal Wins, a lot of people didn't give it a positive review. That was a really fun time in the theater. I like Taika's sensibilities. That's probably why I like Thor: Love and Thunder more than most people. Although I do recognize its shortcomings. I just think comments like this can be so misconstrued or be seen as biting the hand that feeds you. And I get it. He's probably, it's probably the culture of New Zealand to kind of downplay, what you get, kind of make it seem as if you're bigger than you actually are by calling yourself an auteur. Maybe that's a tongue-in-cheek type of thing. And then to make fun of the thing that you're kind of famous for, which is shooting 2 Thor movies, to maybe take a little bit of the piss out of it. So I understand that. I just think these aren't the best ways to go about presenting how you became a director for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So bothers me a little bit. Yeah, Rick says we need to understand his sense of humor. Yeah, Rick, I get his sense of humor. I've watched how many of his films and TV shows? Reservation Dogs, and of course, What We Do in the Shadows. I love the movie and I love the TV show. I get his humor, but I also think there are certain things you say in a certain way that can be taken in a certain way. And maybe I don't think it's a crime to ask people to be a little more aware of how they present stuff, especially because you did get rich off that movie. You did make a lot of money off that movie. You did make a lot of money off that character, and you were able to feed your children and, feed yourself and clothe yourself and buy nice things. So maybe I get the taking the piss out of humor type thing, but also maybe a little more respect as well to the situation. I just think it's an odd sense of comment. I don't think it boils down to sense of humor necessarily. It's more about being aware of the situation and your place in the whole situation. So that's what I would say about that. Steven says, yes, us Kiwis are humble, but I did not think Taika was not a good fit. For the MCU. Right? I agree, Steven. I thought he was a really nice fit. And I think his humility worked really well in Thor Ragnarok. Even though there are criticisms with how Hela was handled in that movie and how much of a role she had in that film, I think overall he did a great job directing that film. And as I said, Thor: Love and Thunder, I liked it more than most, even though I understand the criticisms. And certainly I loved what Christian Bale did with Thor, the God Butcher, under his direction, Taika's direction. But, if you've got one win, one loss, I don't know necessarily that taking the piss out of the thing you did is the smart move in the long run. But who knows? All right. Let's see here. Have I got any more Marvel stuff to talk about? No, I don't think so. So let's take a quick break here, and then we'll jump into some of these reviews real quick and some of these rumors, and then we'll get on out of here right after this. Yeah, my throat is getting dry. I've got maybe 20 or 30 minutes left of talking. And for those of you who want to watch, I think CM Punk live on Raw, it's about to happen in like 20 minutes. So if I lose you, I lose you. I apologize. All right, let's get into the reviews. Let's make them real quick because I'm just going to tag this video for my Rotten Tomatoes scores. Napoleon, super disappointing movie in the long run, even though it had wonderful battle sequences, so well done, so well choreographed, so well staged. If you just go for the battle sequences, I think you're going to love the movie. But unfortunately, that relationship between Josephine and Napoleon just falls apart. It's not as interesting as you would like it to be. I think Vanessa Kirby is doing a wonderful job, but I don't think that Joaquin's cuck energy all the way through the movie was the best choice. a lot of whining and screaming and crying and emotional outbursts. And he's a whiny depressive, which I understand. You want to show that, even whiny depressives can conquer the world. I totally get it. But you alienated the audience from liking him, and the relationship with him and Josephine, you certainly destroyed the legendary love relationship, which I imagine was his intention, the legend of their loving relationship, because he is clearly into her more than she is into him. And if you read the letters, it comes through very powerfully, which makes me wonder how they ever created a supposedly legendary love story between these two. If you read the letters, it's very clear that he is cuckolded to her. And they both had affairs multiple times, but only hers are highlighted in the film, which I thought was weird. And we don't have enough time with him, like figuring out military tactics, studying other opponents and foes. He's just so casual about it. Are there moments when he's looking at a map and going, we need to do this, this, and this? Yeah, but there's no real kind of, how does he climb up from the place where he was to be in the place that he is or ends up? And it just becomes a film that starts to get on your nerves by the end, unfortunately. I think when Ridley hits, we know he hits. And when he misses, we know he misses. And this one is a big miss for me. Even though the cinematography and the battle sequences are gorgeous, the story itself is just irritating after a while. The performance of Joaquin just becomes too modern in his approach to this telling of Napoleon. And the accents. I mean, he's got a Southern California accent. His right-hand man at the beginning is Scottish and disappears. And that's a problem, too, with the film, is that a lot of characters appear and then disappear, and you don't know why. And they're there for an extended period of time, and then all of a sudden they just disappear. And they jump from one historical event to another without giving you any time to sit in the historical events, which is frustrating. All right, let's move on to Wish. Wish is a fine movie I think it's good for kids. And it's no surprise to me that it didn't do well in the box office, because the word of mouth on this is not good. The reviews haven't been good. And people are not going to take their kids and spend $100 if the reviews aren't good for an animated film like this. It's got nothing to do with the right wing and all. Like it's fucking nothing to do with that. It's all about the fact that the reviews have not been great, and people don't have money to spend, especially when we're just around the corner from Christmas. Spend money to take their kids to go see this movie and not enjoy the time, not enjoy the experience. I think Ariana DeBose is fantastic in the film. And there are a number of actors who are really good in the film. But the story is so simple. I saw people calling it original entertainment. If you're saying it's not part of a already written story like Pinocchio or a fairy tale like Snow White, sure, it's original, but the story itself is so derivative of stuff we've seen before that there's nothing new being told here. And it really becomes a film that very obviously has an issue with men being in power. Look, nothing wrong with that. Certainly men have fucked up many things in this world. Certainly we are due to have ourselves taken down a few pegs in some of these films. But I think there's got to be a really interesting artistic way to do that rather than a very simple monosyllabic, man bad, everybody else good, woman good. It's got to be more. And especially in a Disney film, which I think I think now we have kind of elevated our expectations to want more complex stuff, more interesting stuff. And in the film, too much, every guy is either elderly or a dick or a betrayer or grumpy or a goat, or an evil person, which is what the king is. I'm not giving anything away. It's in the trailer, Chris Pine. And so it becomes a thing of, well, I get it. It seems like it's female power and Ariana DeBose and the queen and her female friends. They all are better equipped to handle the situation than any of the men in the film. And, fine, totally fine. But find an artistic way to do that. Find an interesting way to do that. And to me, they don't do that in the movie. To me, it becomes very simple and derivative. The conflict starts within 5-10 minutes of the movie. You're like, wait, I haven't even had enough time to settle into the film, to understand the kingdom, to understand everything works. to really kind of savor the kingdom and spend time with it, so that when the switch happens or the turn happens, then I'm like, oh, and I'm on board. How is this all going to be figured out? So unfortunately, it just falls into too many traps. The songs are good. They just don't fit half of the situations that they're in. And I will say Alan Tudyk, who I love to pieces. I like that alien show, Resident Alien, that he has on. I like that show on Sci-Fi, and I like him as a voiceover actor. His shtick becomes a little cheesy in the movie. A lot cheesy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice. A lot cheesy in the movie. I'm making a joke now. And it just gets on your nerves. And so I just don't think, I think the film is good for the kids, but not for adults, in my opinion. Okay, so this, yeah, and Chris Pine is miscast. He can sing, yes, like Renee Zellweger can sing in Chicago. Nicole Kidman can sing in Moulin Rouge, but when you hear Ariana DeBose sing, it's like, holy shit, that's a singer. That's the difference there. Okay, and let's go to Squid Game. This was a blast. If you're not watching the Squid Game reality show, they dropped the first 5 episodes. It's on Netflix. Whew! I saw some negative reviews. I'm like, I don't know what you all were watching, because I was having a blast with this show. And I see some people are launching lawsuits, some of the contestants. Fuck you, man. You knew what you were getting involved in. It's a reality show, and you know what you're going to do. And you lost, so you're mad you lost, and now you're launching a lawsuit. Get out of here. This show does a really good job of giving you people who are involved in the situation, going through the different challenges that they went through in the movie, and making some adjustments, because obviously you can't kill people, but making some adjustments to fit within the reality show. Like, they get rid of at least so far, I haven't seen the tug of war. They replaced it with, I think they replaced it with something else that was a really cool replacement. I don't want to ruin it. That was a surprise. For those of you who were younger, remember playing a certain naval game is what they replace it with, which I think is a lot of fun to watch. But the people are really interesting and have really unique characters, and they're from all walks of life. And the way they turn on each other as these things get tighter and tighter is real interesting. The way they form alliances is super interesting. And there are people that you start out with, hearing their story and connecting to and caring about, and get eliminated. So it keeps you on the edge of your seat, that you don't know that the person you're connecting to, or that you're liking, or that you're following along, is going to survive. Some of them survive all the way to the end of the first 5 episodes, because there's the next batch, I think, are dropping later on this week. But some don't. And I think that's a great way to approach a reality show, so you're not too crazy involved in it, or not too crazy thinking, oh yeah, they're going to survive. Yeah, they're going to survive. They're not going to survive. So it keeps you on your toes. The sets are basically the same thing as Squid Game, and the way they replace certain things, as I said earlier, really works. So I recommend it. I highly recommend it. 4 out of 5. I really had a blast with it. And I just thought, well, we'll give one episode a shot, see what happens. And we were engrossed and finished it off in 2 days. So absolutely fantastic. Next one I want to move on to, 2 of them are from Paramount Plus. The new Frasier show. I know I bashed the first 2 episodes on Twitter and Instagram. I have to say that I was wrong. Well, I'm not wrong about those first 2 episodes. They're not good. But the show itself has really gotten good. It is so much fun. They understood how to use Frasier correctly in this particular setup for their show. The first 2 episodes didn't seem like they understood how to use Frasier yet. And then the 3rd episode on has been fantastic. Really. Bebe Neuwirth came back a couple episodes ago as Lilith. And what a great episode. And the rumor is Perry Gilpin is going to come back for the finale as Roz. So it'd be nice to see her. I think if this show continues and they get a 2nd season, which I think they've announced, then David Hyde Pierce will absolutely make an appearance, because his character's son is in the show. And I'm telling you right now, with all the stuff that's going on, disappointing stuff and whatever, Frasier has been a surprise, a delightful surprise. And so I would highly recommend it to any of you all who are Frasier fans or Cheers fans. Certainly we're in a Kelsey sance, so to speak, after what happened in the Marvels. So I would absolutely suggest you all give Frasier a chance on Paramount Plus. Watch the first 2 episodes, but stick with it because it does get better. And my friend Kevin Daniels is one of the firefighters. He's a black firefighter. He's really good in the show, and I like to champion him being in good stuff because he was on that ABC show. Oh, what was it? Trent? Something Trent, I think is what it was on Hulu. I forget it was. It was a detective show. It was really cool. And Kevin's great. I love Kevin as a performer, as an actor, voiceover artist. He's so cool, man. So highly recommend Frasier. The other one I mentioned on the Hot Mic, so some of you maybe don't watch the Hot Mic. If you're looking for a new sitcom to jump into, Colin from Accounts is great. So much fun. This show. It's an Australian sitcom. Basically, it's a guy and a girl who meet one day when the girl's like going through this terrible breakup and she's just super depressed about this breakup. He runs a brewery, and randomly, as she's walking across the street in the first episode, she flashes him and he accidentally hits a dog. Now the dog lives, so I was letting you know, but they are now tied to each other through the dog. And it's very interesting how their relationship develops. And right now we're 6 episodes in, and it's really funny, sweet, touching, brutal, and the right kind of dry humor that you would love to see in a show like this. So I cannot recommend enough. I know Shannon from the Geek Buddies and his wife are enjoying it. So if you're looking for a new sitcom that you can watch and enjoy, and it'll make you smile, make you laugh, and also make you care about the world, Colin from Accounts, I think, is a really, really good sitcom that's on Paramount Plus. And you see how their relationship changes and the different stages it goes through. It's a fascinating show full of a lot of really fun moments and interesting characters and fun characters. But also, dealing with real stuff that goes on in the world in terms of relationships and physical maladies that can happen to you as well. So I think it's such a great show. Okay, I can't say anything about Reacher season 2 verbally. So I'll say this. We're 5 episodes in, 5 out of 8 episodes in, and here's what I'll say. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about Reacher season. That's all I'll say about Reacher season 2. We're about to start Slow Horses sometime this week, season 3. So look for my thoughts on that as well. All right, let's take one last break. We'll get into Rocha rumors, and then we'll shut this thing down for the night so everybody can get on with their lives, including me. We'll be right back right after this. All right, thank you all so much for hanging out with me here on the channel. Appreciate 200 of you still hanging out with me. Thank you so much. Please make sure you hit a like on the video, share it on your social media. More than anything else, please subscribe to the channel down below. Would appreciate it madly. We just crossed 31,000 subscribers, marching towards 32,000 subscribers, 35 hopefully by the end of the year, or maybe close to 35 by the end of the year if we can get there. And then 2024 starts, and we're really going to put a hard press on getting more and more people to subscribe to the channel, and hopefully get some good names from you all for the channel to replace the Outlaw Nation. Which sadly I have to do. It's just time to do it, y'all. It's just time to do it. So, all right, let's get into the next section of the show, the final section of the show. It's a new show, segment here called Rocha's Rumors. That's right, Rocha's Rumors. Little things I've heard in the wind from some of my sources. And again, I say this with take everything with a grain of salt. But they are things I've heard from some people that I've vetted in the past. So let's get to it. Now, I'm going to warn you, there may be some, how can I say this? There may be some spoilers. So I'm going to warn you before I say it. So if you want to turn me down or whatever. So let's get it going. All right. Now, the two people that are giving me these stories have both said that it's okay for me to use these stories and not credit them. So I'm not going to credit them, even though they know I credit them and I've spoken to them, gotten their permission. So now, again, these are rumors. So I'm just throwing this out there. All right. Some of the things I've heard from reliable sources. There's a BioShock movie coming from Netflix. And some of the people that they've heard that one of my sources is hearing that they want for the lead of it. Here are the 4 people that they have heard, and they want it to be their big Christmas Day release in 2025. They like Michael Green's script, and the 4 people they're looking at to possibly lead this series are either Bill Skarsgård, Austin Butler, Josh Hutcherson, or Taron Egerton, which I think are great choices. Obviously, Skarsgård, It, and a number of other things like John Wick 4. Austin Butler, Elvis, got Bike Riders coming up next year. Josh Hutcherson recently with Five Nights at Freddy's, and of course of Hunger Games fame. And Taron Egerton, of course, been a lot of things, Kingsman and all those things over the last few years. So an interesting choice. I like the Taron Egerton choice personally. I think he fits. I think he needs something to lead, something big to lead. So I would be leaning towards that. I don't know that Bill necessarily has the thing to lead. And Austin Butler or Josh Hutcherson, certainly nice choices. But I like Taron to have a little bit of the unsettling things. And now the next one is a rumor. Here, I'm going to turn myself up and I'm going to talk lower. So maybe it won't it won't turn me down. I didn't know it could turn me down. Like, that's a weird thing. So the next one is, or let me check with you guys to make sure no one's like upset about any of this. Okay. So, all right, cool. Just want to make sure no one's upset about it. So just want to make sure I check in with you all. Let's move on to the next one. And that is Darren is considering certain actors for his new film Emperor. And I don't know if this has been reported already. So if it is, please forgive me because I'm going back a few weeks with some of these. But the names that my source says that they are looking at to star in his new film Emperor are Robert Pattinson, Bill Skarsgård, Austin Butler again, and Harry Styles. That would be real interesting. Robert Pattinson certainly would be the choice, I would imagine. But Harry Styles is interesting. I don't know what he's proven yet as an actor. Certainly, it was fun in those cameos and in Dunkirk, in the small role he did in Dunkirk. But I wonder if after the Iron Claw comes out, which I'm seeing tomorrow night, whether Zac Efron now is in the mix for something like this. Because remember, Aronofsky really shines when he casts people that you don't expect to be in an Aronofsky film. Like Marlon Wayans in Requiem for a Dream. He was fantastic in that. Or Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, really bringing out the pathos in that performance. So, could be interesting if Zac Efron is someone he considers. But those are the 4 he's looking at for Emperor. I already talked about the Marcus and McFeely stuff on the hot mic. What my source is hearing about the Prey sequel is that it might be based in World War II with a Native American soldier who is a Navajo code talker and will be a descendant of Amber Midthunder's character from the first film. And that'd be real interesting if that's where they go with that. Because, I was in Wind Talkers, that film that John Woo directed, with Nicolas Cage and Christian Slater, Adam Beach, Francis O'Connor, and Stellan Skarsgård, or not Stellan, Peter Stormare. And although the film isn't 100%, isn't the best film, but I'm still proud to be in it. What I learned from it was so much about the Navajo code talkers, and I have a book on them somewhere in my library of books. It is a fascinating experience, and I think this would be a great idea for a sequel for Prey. Rather than a direct sequel, you go decades later, and it is someone who has had the story of Amber Midthunder's character passed on through multiple generations, and this person is now confronting the aliens, having heard the story. Maybe this person even questioned the validity of these stories, but also is a Navajo code talker, so involved in World War II. So there's all kinds of things that go on here between the battles versus the aliens and the battles versus the Nazis and the Japanese in World War II, because that's where the Navajo code talkers really came into play, was in those battles in Japan and in the Pacific. So could be very interesting to go that route. I kind of like that idea. Let's see. We already talked about the Jody Hill thing the other day. What this person is hearing also is that the sequel to Mad Max Fury Road will be George Miller's next film, and that only Tom Hardy is returning from the cast. No Charlize Theron as Imperator Furiosa, who of course is the prequel film that is coming out with Anya Taylor-Joy. Apparently, according to him, the sources here, it is fully written, and we can expect it to go into production by the end of 2024, and that they're hearing that Idris Elba may be a character in the film. So that's really interesting. Now, there's rumors of another rumor here, which makes sense. I mean, George Miller makes sense. He would go and do the sequel, kind of establish Tom Hardy as well. Be real fun. There are rumors they've sent me on the new Planet of the Apes movie and what happens in it. So I'm not going to reveal any of that. But let's just say Jeff was on the right track when we were talking about it on the hot mic. So that's what I'll say about that. According to him, here's some DC rumor news. Somebody was asking about DC rumor news. He's hearing, and this is, again, these are rumors. Who knows how much of this is true? He's hearing that The Authority and Supergirl will be the next DC films releasing after Superman. Will it be true? Will it not be true? Who knows? But of course, that seems to fit what James Gunn is doing here with, lining up a Supergirl writer, bringing her back, the writer who was working on it before the strike and before James Gunn took over. She's now back writing on it. It makes sense. And The Authority being cast and introduced in the Superman Legacy film. So it's not a huge leap to think that those are going to be the next films in the new James Gunniverse of DC. So that would make sense, and I would stand to reason. Could be a lot of fun. Here are a couple other ones. He is here. My source is hearing good things about Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' film, which I think we're going to get a trailer later on this week or next week, and Craven from people who went to see test screenings. So, of course, take the Craven positivity with a grain of salt, considering what we've seen from Sony and that Madam Web trailer, but could be very interesting for sure. They're also hearing that Disney is very high on the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie. And again, I'm not going to say anything there. They've heard Jesse Plemons possibly for Tarantino's The Movie Critic. We were talking about someone who maybe is a little bit more, how can I say this? A little bit less of the standard looking leading man, a little bit more of the character actor being the lead, who could convey being a movie critic. And certainly Jesse Plemons could have that look of a movie critic from that time. So be interesting to see Jesse take it over. I like that. I know Jeff has heard Paul Walter Hauser, but I think Jesse Plemons is the way to go to kind of fit the dynamic that you're looking to have a Paul Walter Hauser type, but also have a guy who's got that leading man energy. And Jesse Plemons certainly has that. So I think that'd be a nice move. All right, I'm not going to say anything. They've sent me some stuff on Paradise Lost. So I'm not going to ruin any of that from Paradise Lost. I'll probably sit on that for a little bit. But But the one thing they're saying is that Cleopatra with Zendaya is going to be Denis Villeneuve's next film. So perhaps that is what's going to happen here, and that they're hearing good things about the Furiosa prequel. So we will see. We will see what happens on that side of things. And let's see, what is the other rumor that I have? Oh, the Beetlejuice 2 rumor. The person who is sending me the scoops or sending me the rumors here, they have the script for Beetlejuice 2. And they are telling me that Beetlejuice's wife is going to be a big part of the film. And I'm not going to reveal too much. I don't want to reveal any plot points. But yeah, so that's going to be a big part of the film as well. They're also sending me some rumors about Quiet Place Day 1 with Lupita Nyong'o. But those are plot details, and I got to figure out if I can release plot details or not. But very interesting stuff that they're sending me for sure to think about. And I wonder if there's one more thing that they may have sent me that I think I can reveal. Yeah, I think that's it. They've sent me some stuff. Let me say this now. They sent me some stuff on The Gorge, Scott Derrickson's next movie. And they're telling me what the movie is about. And that it hasn't been released what the movie is about. But I don't think I want to do that yet because I like Scott. Scott and I follow each other on Twitter. I loved his Doctor Strange. And I don't want to reveal what the film was about just yet. But I like what my source is telling me about the film. It gets me excited to see that one. So let's just say it's going to be a bit of a surprise, but something that we've seen many times before, but a bit of a surprise. And I'm going to be interested to see what Scott Derrickson does with that kind of movie. That's what I'll leave it at. So there. All right. So that's it. That's what I'm going to say there for now. So let's leave it at that. And that's the first, the debut of the segment, Rocha Rumors. I'm going to have to figure out how I want to do that because I certainly don't want to. I want to be able to reveal stuff, but I don't want to spoil stuff. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that going forward. But those are some of the rumors that I've heard. Just letting you all know, just little things. So again, these are rumors, not in any way 100% the truth. But I trust these sources. They were right about Fantastic Four casting. They were right about Superman Legacy casting. So I'm getting to the point where I kind of want to make this its own show, Rocha Rumors. So I may do that. And both of them have agreed to be the sources for it and not need to seek credit. So makes my job easier. But yeah, just throwing it out there. So hope you enjoyed that as a kind of soft launch of this new possible show or new segment here in the nation. There'll be more to come. And if both of them are watching, I appreciate them sending me along the information. And I hope they appreciate that I didn't release anything too big because I don't want to step on toes just yet. So, all right, well, there you go. That's our show. Let me see. Is there any Streamlabs anymore? Any super chats? I think one more came through. Empire fan said, I didn't know main event still existed. Yeah, it does. It does. That's where so many wrestlers who you don't see on the main TV were showing up was main event. Brandon in here. What's up, Brandon? Said, what method is used to find out the demographic of people viewing specific movies? For example, critics said Top Gun Maverick brought in the 45 and up crowd, and the first Aquaman film was over 50% viewed by women. That's a good question, Brandon. I don't know. I imagine they poll certain people or certain showings, certain screenings, or people, buy using their credit cards, and maybe that information, not their actual number, but the age or whatever, or the sex of the person, or however they identify, is listed. Most people are on movie, have Movie Pass or what, not Movie Pass, but AMC Movie Stubs and Regal. So maybe when the people sign up, maybe they're essentially handing over the information about themselves that people can use for these kinds of studies. So maybe that's how it's going down. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question though. Maybe maybe it's one I'll explore and find out, and maybe get back to you with an answer, Brandon, on the next episode of The Nation. But yeah, I will endeavor to do that. So if you have a question, remind me the next time I do the episode, or remind me on the hot mic this week, and I will give you that information after I do the research for it. But it's a good question, my man. Because in TV, it's usually just the Nielsen ratings, and people are selected to be Nielsen TV families to reflect the overall taste of TV watchers. But with movies, I'm not sure how that goes, because obviously you can pay cash for a film. So how would they know what your age is or whatever? So yeah, it's a good question though. Got to find out those answers. All right, well, there you go. That's our show for today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, pollsters in the lobby is another part of it probably as well. They poll after random screenings. We got polled after Godzilla King of Monsters. Yeah, so maybe that's how they do it. They use the random polling, and then they just kind of extrapolate that and use it to get a invite there, so to speak. So, all right, well, there you go. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on The Nation. Hope you enjoyed our conversation on CM Punk, Marvel, my reviews, some of these rumors that have popped up, maybe giving you some stuff to talk about, and what have you. So we'll see. And maybe I'll break that Scott Derrickson rumor out tomorrow. We shall see. But I'll DM him and ask him if he wouldn't mind if I ran with it. So we will see. But yeah, please make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. Hit a like on this video. More than anything else, please leave a comment as well. What are your thoughts on the CM Punk situation? Your thoughts on all the Marvel news? Your thoughts on these rumors? And your thoughts on some of the stuff I brought up to review here on the Outlaw Nation? Would love to hear your thoughts on all of it. And you guys are the best. Thanks for sticking with me through all this time that we've stuck together. We're heading into the Christmas season, which is a real time to celebrate humanity, celebrate the connections you have with people, more so than Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is fine, but it's Christmas, a whole season. And I just want to tell you all how much I appreciate and love you. And remember what I always say at the end of these shows, like I used to say at the end of the Deep Cut: whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, make sure you do that. It's a tough time with the holidays and everything going on. People looking back on their year. Did I do enough? Did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? Did I get to where I wanted to get to? Did I meet all my goals? What's wrong with me? Why haven't I? Of course I didn't. Those little voices that get in your head to put you down and make you feel terrible about yourself. Well, this is the season of caring. This is the season of giving. This is the season of loving your fellow man. Well, love yourself. Take care of yourself. Be positive to yourself. Cut yourself a break. Know that you can keep going. Know that you can keep doing it. Know that you'll get through it. Know that you'll find your way out of it. And that there are possibilities. I'm the biggest example of that. Honestly, 2016, it was going to be over. And look, I'm still kicking 7 years later. And so many amazing things have happened. And so many tough things have happened in those 7 years. But I wouldn't trade a second of it for having taken my life in 2016. So just letting you know, I know these times are tough. I'm here for you. My content is here for you, whether it's on the Outlaw Nation or the Geek Buddies or the Hot Mic or the Cinephiles or anywhere else I do stuff. Please put that on if you've got the strength to put it on, to pick you up if you need something to pick you up. I would love to be there for you as people were there for me in my darkest moments. So just letting you know, I love you all. I want y'all to hang out and be around and be a part of the Outlaw Nation or whatever it's going to be called next year. And keep watching us grow as we've been doing ever since we started this channel. So you all are a massive part of it. And thank you for being here with me, and thank you for being here for me. And take care of yourselves tonight. Be well tonight. Enjoy your night, and come back and hang out with me and all my other co-hosts on all the programs we do this week. And until then, I love you. Take care of yourself. Be well. And I'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The Nation. Peace.